Hi there, I'm Desiree Philbee and I'm a resident of District 21. My husband Jeremy and I, we take in a lot of strays and rescues, and the people on our street just kind of know us as the folks who will know what to do if you have or have found a stray dog or stray cat, and all the resources available to get them taken care of.
That's pretty cool. And this is taken from Tara, and we're together this beautiful afternoon. Whoops, wait a second. I'm going to see something falling off there we go. We're together this beautiful afternoon at Desiree's beautiful backyard, and I wish that we could have all the puppies outside, but she just informed me that if we did that, then the kids next door are going to play, and the kids and the dogs are going to play, and your kids are going to bark, and then we're going to have all kinds of mess. So we decided to just kind of keep it a little bit more quiet, and let the two of the little cutie pies come out at the very end so you can meet them, because I'm already in love. They've been all over me. So Desiree, you and I have known each other on Facebook for a while, and we know each other through Hip Hop Cares, working with our friend Jeff Gill to take care of individuals experiencing homelessness in Louisville, which is wonderful. Thank you for what you do.
Likewise.
And one of the things that you and I got into conversation about was the fact that we need neighborhood representatives, kind of like block watch captains, to be animal watch captains.
Yes, absolutely.
And so you and I talked, and I told you about a conversation I had with Nicole George, who is your wonderful Metro Council person, and you stepped up to become the liaison between Nicole George's office and your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And within her district, there are several different areas.
Right.
You happen to be in the Iroquois area.
Exactly.
So talk to me about what you have taken on as your job and your responsibility as we'll call you the animal watch captain.
Sure, fair.
What are you doing to help in the situations that you're in right now, with this area being one of the primary areas where lost animals show up, and where people like Rita O'Hearn-Smith and Megan Smith-Harlow and I all come into play, and we come and look for the dogs and try to get them reunited. Tell us a little bit about what you have taken on as your responsibility.
So the big responsibility that Jeremy and I have taken on the last couple of years, and I can't leave him out of it, is just being more aware of our own neighbors and the people on your street. Yes. And introducing yourself, and they've got a new puppy, let's let them know about our pets. As we do our neighborhood cleanups, really just meeting your neighbors and letting them know that, hey, I have pets, do you have pets, what kind of pets do you have? And just letting them know, I happen to work at an animal hospital, just letting them know that, hey, if you find something, come to me. We have a little bit of space. We've got a fairly big backyard. We're happy to hold them, help you, get you pointed in the right direction to help with microchips. You can't always get a hold of the person maybe that you think should be responsible.
That's right.
For a situation.
That's right. That's a problem.
And so we just really want to know that there are, and let others know that there are people in your neighborhood who are willing to help you with those things, and trying to expand that, not just on our street, but in other neighborhoods, talking about it at events.
So this is part of your civic responsibility. This is part of your animal-loving responsibility. This is obviously having just walked into your house for the first time and been introduced to the Philbee family furry four-legged family. The Philbee Farms.
Philbee Farms Menagerie.
It's so cute. So you've got a couple of cute pups who were dumped.
Essentially, yeah.
And that's heartbreaking, because they're two of the most affectionate dogs I've ever seen.
Very loving.
You got a couple of cute cats who I just fell in love with, and most unique
cats.
Shh. I was trying to help you there, girl.
I've got the license.
Two of the most unique animals that I've seen in a long time are sugar gliders, and I'd never seen one in person, and you just opened up their little papoose and showed it to me. Where in the world do sugar gliders come from, and why is it that people are getting them and then abandoning them?
I think people underestimate the amount of care that they take. They're an imported animal. They're not native to the United States. They are cute. They are tiny. So people,
they're like that big.
I hate to say it, but like when Pokemon came out, everybody wants a little pocket pet, but they do take a lot of work. I mean, it's daily cleaning, it's daily feeding, it's daily checking.
You said they're marsupials.
They are marsupials. They have little pouches. They're nocturnal, so they
have
are
little
up at
wingy
night.
things underneath their arms, so they can glide.
Yep, they make little sounds that sound like a tiny barking puppy in the distance.
Oh my
So when I first had them, I was turning off all the sound and looking out the window for the little puppy. And I'm like, Mike, that's what the sound they make. They really do.
That's hysterical.
Yeah. So I think that's why. It's just people aren't prepared for the sounds or the timing or the noise or the cleaning.
So those were dumped too.
Yeah.
God almighty, it's just somebody died, somebody left them, whatever happened.
Yep.
They had no family.
Yeah, they didn't have a person to take care of them. In their case, it was a situation, people had a lot of animals, one of the partners passed away, and she was just really real that she just couldn't take them all on herself.
Well, good. At least she did something that was positive to be able to allow them to have a better, and for God's sake, joining the Philbee family farms. I mean, that's the greatest gift in the world. So this is one part of District 21. And you said just before we started that you coordinate with and are in communication with the other areas. What are the areas that you guys actually cover in this district?
Sure. So Beachmont's a big one. My husband works out at Fort Knox and I work downtown. So we drive from this southernmost part, down Kenwood Hill behind us, and Iroquois Park to our west. So anywhere from that area, that Iroquois area and Auburndale behind us, we've got the South Side District, and then the other Beachmont northeast of us. So we pass these areas. So we regularly are out for, events and neighborhood things and trash cleanups. And so we're just always talking with people like, hey, do you know we rescue pets? Do you know we have these resources? Do you know if you ever find something, you can call myself or my husband, and we're happy to come help you in any way we can, or at least point you in the right direction.
Well, one of the things the reason that some of this happened is actually, and it's the way things work, in Louisville. We always say there really are only 6 people in Louisville, and they all know each other.
Yeah.
But what happened was, Rita O'Hearn-Smith and Lauren Pearl and I had a meeting with Nicole George because we discovered, based upon Rita O'Hearn-Smith, the Queen of Trappings statistics, that a huge percentage of animals that are loose, and I don't even say lost, because they're just loose.
Yeah.
And they're not really stray,
Yep.
they're just loose,
Yeah.
are in this area.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. What do you think it is that's tipped the scales in your favor, so to speak?
I hate irresponsibility. I mean, I really hate to say that. You have to walk your fence lines. We don't have the greatest fence, but you have to know where are the weak spots. Have you had a good rain? Is there some place that they're getting out? Is there a new pet in your neighborhood? This goes back to talking to people, because your pets are more inclined to try to get out if there's something new or stimulating around.
Right.
So sometimes that might cause them to maybe dart out the door when you open it when they otherwise wouldn't. They're curious now about new puppy across the street.
Especially if they're not fixed, which is another big problem.
Huge thing. So I just think, and I think a lot of people just don't know, they don't know what's available. They just need help with pet resources in terms of containing them and training them and being aware of your pets, but also the pets that are right around you.
Well, one of the biggest problems on your street is that there are no sidewalks.
Yeah.
So you can't walk them really safely without them being on leash. And if dogs are running free, there's a high likelihood that they're going to get hit. So you got those HBC reports coming up all the time.
Yes.
Oh, there's a dog on Inverness Avenue or whatever that's been hit by a car, and it's heartbreaking. And then again, the same people come out, Julie Foley and Cheryl Smith and I go out and we pick up the animals and take them to be scanned if they have a chip.
Yep.
To hopefully give the owner some closure if the animal has died. But I think that as a result of that meeting that we had, we talked to Nicole about the fact that there just seemed to be a lot of loose animals here, and she said, I need some people to be my point people. Because she obviously, with one staff person, as most Metro Council members have, cannot, they can't do everything. So they need the help of citizen involvement.
And that can't be overstated. Everyone wants to call on our one district council person.
With their one staff member.
Our district is so many neighborhoods.
Yes.
Little bits of Auburndale and Oakdale and South and so many.
Yep.
So that's, for us, that's why it's like, okay, start with your home, start with your street, start with your block.
Right.
Talk to each other, come to these events, get to know one another.
Yes.
So that we have a network in our neighborhood.
So one of the things that you decided to do, which I think is so darn cute, is you're having Council on the Corner on Wednesday.
Indeed.
Talk to me about your event.
So we will have a representative from Louisville Metro Animal Services here. We will have Nicole George for a Council on Your Corner. And any neighbor can host this. If you're in any neighborhood anywhere in Louisville, you can request to host a neighborhood watch, a pet welfare meeting. So that's what we're doing. We're just offering up our front yard, our backyard.
Great idea.
handing out flyers, letting the neighbors come in so that you can kind of get some help on how do I keep my pet confined? Where are the resources for spay neuter?
Yes.
What are the laws? What can LMAS do?
Yes.
What are they responsible for? What's
Yes.
Nicole responsible for? What are we responsible for? And just get that dialogue going amongst everyone.
Well, I know, I mean, we talk with our director of LMAS, Ozzie Gibson, quite frequently, and his staff, and work with Metro Animal Services Animal Control Officers, or ACOs, daily, most of us, about animals that are loose, about animals that have been hit, about animals that are missing and hopefully able to be found. And it's an overwhelming task, especially in light of the fact that our animal protection, our animal welfare laws are horrific in Kentucky. We're bottom of the line. We just outlawed bestiality this past legislative session, which is shocking for most people to understand. And the breeding continues. There are no penalties for not spaying and neutering.
Right.
We really need to promote chipping, because one of the greatest joys that we have as rescuers is when we find a dog and scan it and, oh my gosh, there's actually a chip. It's actually registered and it actually has updated information.
Yeah.
And I don't know that a lot of people understand the importance of that.
Well, and segueing onto that is the importance of licensing. People go,
Oh,
I
dear
shouldn't have
God.
to license my pet.
No
Well,
kidding.
a couple things that I'll say is it's cheaper to license your pet if they're spayed and neutered.
Yep.
The county or city is liable to have more of a record on them. It ensures that pets are vaccinated,
Right.
have some sort of
That's
tag,
right.
even if they're not chipped. And that money really goes to helping LMAS.
That's right.
So for everyone who wants something done just by licensing or spaying or neutering your pet, which is, licensing something like $10 a pet, you can get vouchers for spay and neuter, and we're here to provide those
right.
resources and talk about it. So you're able, just as a regular citizen, you're absolutely able to do something for very little money or time.
I think one of the key things that, education is everything to me, particularly education, information. LMAS, Louisville Metro Animal Services, is the city shelter. And contrary to popular belief, Kentucky Humane Society is not the city shelter. And they are not
Private.
required to take in strays. Louisville Metro Animal Services is the city shelter, and they are not required to take owner surrenders.
Right.
So there's kind of a little variation there. And you have to understand that if you just decide one day you want to give up your dog, you can't just march into LMAS and give up your dog. You have
Right.
to set an appointment, and you have to fill out paperwork, and it could very easily be weeks, if not months, before they call you and tell you, because the city shelter is overwhelmed with animals who are being picked up on the streets, whether they're loose, stray, stolen, lost, whatever you want to call them. And the breeding situation where they'll have to pick up a litter of puppies or a litter of kittens. So those things that you just mentioned, the chipping, the spaying and neutering, so critically important. The licensing is so important, because those are the things that bring in money to help LMAS run the shelter. And there's a brand new and quite amazing LMAS being built on the campus of Animal House, which kind of gives us all who've worked in animal rescue for a long period of time
Yes,
a
indeed.
breather, and especially the people who work there. Dear God, that dump on Manslick Road, which needs to be raised as soon as they move out of it, this is going to be a state-of-the-art facility. There are going to be surgical suites. There are going to be places that, extraordinary kennels that have been brought in. Everything is stainless steel for cleanliness. I mean, I've toured it. Ozzie has showed us through it, and it's really a beautiful place, and it's going to have many more capabilities, which will be helpful to us. But the city budget crunch means it's probably still going to have the same number of employees,
Right.
and it's still going to have the same challenges, which are what we do
Right.
as citizens. So taking responsibility for ourselves and not always expecting LMAS to come. We've got one ACO for the most part, maybe two, on the street at any given time.
Yeah.
Especially at night and on weekends, which is when all the crises happen.
Right.
And on holidays.
Indeed, I
can't just-
volunteered to work many of those at ER.
You can't just do this on Monday through Friday from 9 to 5.
Yeah, no, it's a lifestyle.
The
It
emergencies
really
always
is.
happen in the off hours, so we need to take responsibility for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's the same with our outreach to the homeless.
Well, and so again, segueing into that, so we outreach to the homeless. We also need to outreach to each other
Yes.
as pet owners and
Yes.
pet rescuers
Yes.
for when those to be available, not just for the education part, but to outreach and let people in your community, elder people who maybe don't have access to social media.
Right.
So these neighborhood walks and trash pickups and things, these are all ways, hosting in my front yard for the neighbors to come in. These are all ways for us to speak to one another and outreach the services and volunteer what we can to one another.
Let's throw a few names out to see who's watching. Judy Foster, Uber rescuer, Marcia Roberson, Stotts Robinson, and Marcia. I'm sorry, that's from the Shamrock. Marcia's from Shamrock. Nancy Doctor, Arthur Miller, Cassie Simons watching from Washington, D.C., Ann Byers, Larry Schweitzer, Don Birch, founder of Quest Outdoors, Anthony Bonner, Brad Leedy from Bridgehaven Mental Health Services is watching.
Thank you, Brad.
Tony Hyatt from Metro Council is watching.
All right,
Carolyn,
thank you,
he's watching to make sure that we represent. That's what you're doing. You're representing today. Carolyn
Sure
Tilford, Sherry Vise, Mary John Sleddy, Brenda Davidson, Jeannie Case, Jules Harity, Ed Huckleberry, formerly of WHAS. He's now in the liquor business. I love it. Jim Crowder and Sherry Davis all tuned in. Thanks so much for watching Take It From Tara this afternoon. And it has an animal flavor to it, but it's really more about participation in government. In our city government, we have dealt with the crisis of budget crunching that has really taken a huge bite, excuse the pun, out of many of our biggest concerns. It's affected us in our homeless outreach. It's affected animal services. It's affected a lot of services that we would expect to have naturally, which are swimming pools. And a lot of other things. And so one of the biggest things that I encourage people to do is to do exactly what Desiree Philbee is doing, which is become a participant, become an active participant. And you can do it too. So tell me what's involved and what you have to do yourself to do the work that you do. You don't have to meet with Nicole George every 15 minutes.
No, I mean,
so this is not a big responsibility, time commitment wise.
No, it's just doing what you can when you can. A month ago, we were driving down Southern Parkway. We were at the stoplight, a gazebo. There's a little stray dog. I mean, it's just a matter of scanning it for a chip. And like I said, knowing your neighbor's pet. So if somebody gets out, you can identify it. Talking to your neighbors on a regular basis. Just stuff you'd already do. You're walking to the store, get to know the new dog or the new cat or the new neighbor and ask them about it. And if you're willing and able to help, say so. Hey, I live down the street. I'd be happy to help you if you encounter whatever it is.
One of the things that drives me insane, and I know it does you too, is somebody who says, I saw a dog running across Southern Parkway, but I was late to an appointment, so I didn't stop. I know. You got to get to work. You got to get to the doctor. But what would happen if you just pulled over and opened your door and saw if you could get that dog in? What happens if you had managed to post on Facebook, or what happens if you had managed to get a hold of LMAS? You could have saved a life. And Cheryl Smith.
If someone's mad at you for trying to save a life, I would just question that service person.
Cheryl Smith and I were exchanging stories last night about our rescues of yesterday, and she saw a dog just dancing happily after a woman without a leash in the middle of a very busy intersection. And she asked if it was the woman's dog, and she said no.
It wasn't. Yeah.
And so, but she wasn't doing anything to help.
Yeah.
And so, Cheryl did. And Cheryl got the dog to safety.
And that's the other thing, tag someone. And I don't mean just tag them on social media.
Yeah.
Exchange phone numbers. Yep. Find out the last names of your neighbors.
Yes.
Let them know, hey, I don't like to be bothered, I work nights. Or, hey, come to my house anytime with a stray critter. So if, Tanya next door sees a stray dog and her dog's going to get into it, she can call me and I can call someone and we can start the chain of command or the chain of help.
I think one of the things that's critical is I'm both my HOA president and my block watch captain. And we have actually taken pictures of all of our pets and put those in the directory of faces so that people can put their faces to their names and to their pets' faces, so that if an animal is loose, we're going to know immediately. We're going to know who it is and where it goes.
Yep.
And that's something that's very helpful. If you can establish a block watch in your area, it's usually just a small number of houses. They don't want you to take a whole neighborhood. They want you to take 10 to 15 houses and make it your block watch.
Exactly.
And then you have intimate communication. You can put, I can push one button on my phone and it dials everybody, or it emails everybody, or it messages everybody.
And also don't feel bad if you're not especially tech savvy.
Right.
I've been here for in this particular house since 2013. I know Rebecca on the corner to Marshall across the street, all the way to the Greenbelt, and there's something like 23 houses, but just knowing, you know, your neighbors from this stop sign to that stop sign,
Yes.
and being accountable amongst each other,
Yes.
makes a huge difference.
It's a huge safety issue too, because, you know, obviously with the opioid epidemic, we're having a lot more smash and grabs. We're having a lot more cars rifled for money. You know, just those little crimes that occur on a daily basis in some neighborhoods are spreading out to the neighborhoods that never have really experienced crime before, and it's
Right.
shocking.
Right.
It's shocking.
Exactly.
To people who are not used to having to deal with the things that people in certain specific areas of town have made, you know, have had to deal with as a part of their daily lives. And so having that safety of knowing who you're talking to, having that safety of being able to reach out to a neighbor, you know, if you're broken into, or if you're burgled, or if you're robbed, or if whatever, and to be able to call your next door neighbor and say, help, I need help, and them come, as opposed to waiting for 10 minutes for someone else to get there at
Absolutely.
emergency services. I mean, what a great feeling of security.
And include the dogs.
Yeah.
I know when the bark
Absolutely.
is different.
Yeah.
I know when one dog barks all the time
Yep.
versus all of our dogs at the same time.
That's right.
So they're an integral and helpful part to our community, both in soothing us as individuals and alerting us when something is different or new in the neighborhood as well.
John Ross just tuned in. Bev Wethington is here. Tracy Sprouse, who is my buddy who's got tiny Heroes horses, the therapy horses. Cheryl Smith, you must have heard us talking about you just now. And if you didn't, you'll just have to wind back and watch it when it begins. Dr. Francis Weinstock is watching. Pat Murphy just joined us too on this wonderful afternoon edition in the backyard of Desiree Philbee's house. Take from Tara always tries to explore opportunities for social advocacy, and we work in several areas of that together, but also government participation, which is huge, because we are a government by the people, of the people, for the people, and if we can't expect everybody to do everything for us.
Right.
It's an example. I used to say to my mother, she'd say, my doctor's office hasn't called me back about that appointment. And I say, Mother, how many patients does your doctor have? She says, oh, I don't know, I guess a lot, maybe 500. And I say, probably more like 2,500.
Yeah.
And over the time, and I say, and how many doctors are there? One. So why don't you make that phone call? So in order for Nicole George, for instance, to do her job, she's got to have the ability to have people in various places throughout the community being her eyes, being her ears, and this is for any Metro Council member.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most important things that you can do, is you can be available as a volunteer and as a civic-minded citizen to do things that may not get done if you don't do it. And there was a friend of mine, Heidi Joy Stenson, who is a wonderful musician in town, is walking past this thing that's happening, and she's like, somebody should do something about that. And the statement
somebody.
is,
You're
we
somebody.
are the somebody.
We are somebody.
We are
Absolutely.
the somebody, and you got to do something. So what is the suggestion that you have for having people be able to make that statement, make that impact that we're talking about? What steps do they need to take right now?
Take a walk. Take a walk. Wave at the lady on the porch. Ask her what her name is. Ask her what she's seen today. That's a big thing for me. Walk your neighborhoods. I mean, if you don't feel safe to walk your neighborhood, that's one thing. I feel very safe to walk my neighborhood.
Oh, it's a beautiful
They know
area.
something is wrong if someone's not walking at a certain time.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, social media and work and go to the events. But for me, there's a lot of elderly people.
Yes.
There's a lot of immigrants. So walking your block and just knowing an area of where you are intimately.
Yeah, and find out who your Metro Council person
Ask.
is.
Oh my gosh,
You
I've
can
been
look
into
it
it
up.
so many times.
Yeah.
The maps and the associations and the things. The big crux of the whole deal is just get to know each other. Ask the questions. Ask who the people are to talk to.
Yep.
Sometimes you just don't know, or you don't know what the policies are. So you can't get through to KHS, or you can't get through to LMAS, or you can't get through. Call someone else in your neighborhood. I'm going to go ahead and throw out the name Ryan Puckett. She's done amazing things. She works for the Center for Neighborhood.
Yes.
She's one of my South Side neighbors.
Yep.
And she's just such a supportive Beth Thorpe.
Yes.
They're just so full. I'm going to mess
Desiree
Jennifer. Yeah. Jennifer, I'm going to mispronounce her name like crazy, but she knows who she is. She's responsible for a lot of signs and soccer things and just good things in our neighborhood. And just find out who those people are who
Right.
are fighting for your neighborhood and living in your neighborhood.
And if you don't know where to start, you can always call your Metro Council office.
They have a normal phone number.
Just a phone
with
number.
a real person answering the phone and
Yep.
taking a report from you. People say, oh, I called and I couldn't get through. Oh, I called and nothing was done. call again, email
Exactly.
again,
Exactly.
send another application for whatever you're applying for in your neighborhood in again.
Yep.
Nobody's going to do it.
You can always ask them too, how can I be of service to you?
Yeah, how can I help?
How can I help? Instead of saying, this is what I want from you, what can I do for you?
Yep,
That's a
absolutely.
huge part of it. So I would highly recommend that this young lady be nominated for activist right now of the Iroquois neighborhood, which is fabulous. And thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Is this Porch Kitty sitting over here behind you?
Oh yeah, that's Venom back there.
Venom! Hi, Venom. You are so beautiful. It's a perfect Halloween cat.
Yeah.
That's another good thought to bring up. Keep your pets inside for Halloween.
Venom will be in. He is a neighborhood porch cat. He will be inside for Halloween.
Venom and all other animals too, because you know whether they're black or not, black cats are notorious for should not be let out on Halloween. But any animal really may be afraid of a costume, may be afraid of somebody who's acting
Absolutely.
silly, acting
Sure.
like a giant monster or a zombie or whatever. Keep your animals inside, keep them secure, and if you do have the desire to trick-or-treat kids with candy at the door, just make sure that when you open the door, for your safety, your animal's safety, and the trick-or-treater's safety, keep your animals
It's extra
confined.
stimuli for everyone. Everyone's
really
going to be
is.
extra stimulated. So just like you would for 4th of July
Yep.
or Thunder over Louisville or the big company barbecue or somebody's coming who's allergic or not tolerant, just be kind to each other for Halloween and especially to our animals.
And candy. As a vet tech, you probably can say, candy is not the best food for your animals.
No.
Yeah, keep that away. No. Desiree, thank you so much for taking time
Thank
to
you.
meet with us today.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Just
Very
because
much.
I really want to show them, would you just take your mic off?
Yes, absolutely.
And go get the babies and let them sneak out here. Just squeeze that together. Let them sneak out. They're going to attack, so just be prepared because they're really freaking cute. Their names are Chug because it's a Chihuahua pug. Ready? And Crunch, who is like a little
Dachshund Chihuahua.
Dachshund Chihuahua. Hi, come here to me. I'm gonna pick you up and put you in my lap. Look at this baby. He just wants to give me kisses. I just love you so much. I do. You're so sweet. And pick your baby up. There you go. You got to tell us quickly before you go. Just hang on to it. Just tell us the story of these two.
So I was working at an animal hospital, and a very kind couple who were into rescue thought they had rescued a spayed pug mama, and they thought they had rescued a neutered Chihuahua boy.
Aw.
They brought her in for what they thought were mammary tumors because she was like 14 years old, suspected.
Dear God.
She turned out to be pregnant.
Oh.
The couple let her have the litter. Everybody was okay. They tried selling them. That didn't work. They tried giving them away one at a time. And this little guy had bad knees and bad teeth and just
So cute.
wasn't great stock. And they said, we know he'd have a good home with you and that sort of thing. So if you'll have him, we would like to give him to you.
He's the ultimate Velcro
And
dog.
there was no way I could say no.
The ultimate. As soon as I got here, he was in my lap, and I just absolutely adore him.
Yeah.
And what about this little monkey?
And so this is Crunch. So I thought Chug over there needed a buddy. So 6-7 months later, when someone came in with a box of puppies, 3 black and tan and 1 little red wire hair thing, I told the staff at the animal hospital that I worked at if they could find homes for 3 of the 4, I would take the last one home.
And God bless
for
you for
Chug's
doing
buddy.
it. Oh my gosh, I can't
And
believe
here
it.
we are.
So precious. All right, well, listen, you guys, thank
guys.
you so much. And on Wednesday, we've got another very special Take It From Tara coming up. Cindy Armstrong, who is a network rescuer extraordinaire, and I are going to be talking about Day of the Dog, which is something really cool that's going to be a big celebration of the dog on October the 26th, which happens to be the day of my 60th birthday party, but we won't say that out loud. And I want you to learn more about it because it's something that you're going to want to participate in. It's going to be a great effort. And I love you so much, Chug. He wants to get back up in my lap again. But I got to get up and turn off the camera. I do. I got to get up and turn off the camera. God love you. You guys have a wonderful afternoon. Desiree, thank you
Thank
again
you.
so much. I appreciate you.
Likewise.
Have a good one.